Good afternoon, everyone. We now begin the first technical session of day 6 of the 6th-day ATAL-sponsored online faculty development program on advancements in cloud and edge computing, research and industry perspectives, organized by the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at Adi Shankara Institute of Engineering and Technology. The first session of the day focuses on a critically important topic, which is security in cloud, which addresses the challenges, best practices, and strategies required to ensure secure cloud-based systems and applications. It is my privilege to introduce our first resource person for the day, Ms. Anju JD, who serves as Cybersecurity Manager at Ernst & Young. Ma'am brings with her strong industry experience in cybersecurity governance, risk management, and cloud security solutions. Her session will provide valuable insights into securing cloud environments in today's dynamic threat landscape. Ma'am, we are honored to have you with us today. I kindly invite you to take over the session and share your expertise on security in cloud. Thank you, and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Parvati. Thank you. And good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for joining the session. So I'll just share my screen and then we'll get started. Prior to that, I'll just introduce myself. Like Parvati already have given a sweet nutshell of my overall experience, but I'll just elaborate a little bit more. So I'm Anju JD. So currently working as a cybersecurity manager in EY GDS. GDS means Global Delivery Service, right? And I work in the Trivandrum office in Kerala, right? Now, my experience, I had come with almost more than 13 years of experience, and it's majorly in EY. I would say that's the only company I have served so far. But yeah, I've worked on different domains within the cybersecurity itself, right? So started with the information security management system, auditing, risk assessments, third-party management assessments and all. And then I moved to the cloud security. So majorly worked on the Azure, then AWS and kind of on the GCP side also. And for the past, I would say 1 to 2 years, I'm mostly focusing on the AI security. Like when I say AI security, like securing the AI platform as well as like how do we leverage AI for the cybersecurity, right? So the reason why I went on to that is because like AI and cloud will go hand in hand. So it becomes relatable to kind of go to the AI security field as well. So with that, I'll just start my presentation. Let me share my screen. Let me know once you see my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so today we're going to discuss about security in cloud. So it's going to be a high-level thing, right? I'll talk about the different platforms we have so far in the market. Why is it relevant to have security in cloud, right? And what are the new things which has come in the market, right? I mean, every day new technologies are coming in, but I'll be covering mostly the different high-level platforms that is governing the security in cloud. Okay. Now with that, I'll just move on to the agenda. So these are the different topics today I'll be taking it. So starting with why do we require security in the cloud, and then the hybrid multi-cloud security challenges. Then moving on to the the security services on a high level do you require to kind of secure the different components of a cloud environment. That's what is the cloud security solution cornerstones. And then we move to the protection platform suite, right? CNAB. We'll cover on a high level what CNAB is, CWBP is, CSPM, SSPM, and then we move to the CASB, which is another yet very important topic. Then the zero trust, which is the evolving kind of demand based on the current environment we have in the cloud. And then to the cloud data security. Basically, we'll be covering the data sovereignty and everything. So that will be the high level content we'll be covering for today. Okay. Now with that, we'll go to the first topic. So prior to moving to the hybrid or the multi-cloud, security challenges, I just want to kind of, go through the, the shared responsibility model. As most of you might be aware that in a cloud, we have different compute service models, right? IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, right? And of course, we have the on-prem, which is still there. Then you have the private cloud also. Now, when it comes to on-prem on the private cloud, it's the whole responsibility, right? Let's say if I own a private cloud, I'll be taking care of the end-to-end responsibility, starting from physical security until the access control, everything, right? Now, when it comes to IaaS, infrastructure as a service, right? There, what we do is like, the cloud provider will be providing the data center, physical security, the server, storage, network, everything, right? And with respect to the metadata, the virtualization, OS, and everything will fall under the um, will be the cloud, the customer's responsibility, right? Now, for the PaaS, again, on top of the server storage, you will have the, the OS capability, database, and the middleware capability also adding to that. And for the SaaS, it will be mostly like a fully functional thing, right? You will have the, you will have the application, everything managed over there on the SaaS. Right? I could hear somebody talking. If you can go on mute. Okay, thanks. Hello?
Dear participants, can you please mute your mic? Ms. Anju, you please proceed with your presentation.
Okay.
The background things and all will be taken care by your coordinators and admins. They'll
Okay,
take care
sure.
of it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. All right. So the SaaS, like I said, it will be more of a fully functional kind of a software as a service, right? Now, in terms of the security, also there will be a shared responsibility model, right? Now, like when it comes to IaaS, right, the server storage network, it will be a shared model between the customer and the vendor, the CSP vendor, right? Now, when it comes to PaaS, the security will be shared for the runtime, the database, operating system, and all. The rest of the things will be taken care by the cloud provider itself, right? In the above, all the light blue ones, of course, it will has to be taken care by the cloud consumer. Now, for the SaaS, again, the cloud provider will mostly take care of, I would say, more than 60% of the security. They will be responsible for the same. But in terms of the data security or the overall application security, will again be a shared model. So this is a typical kind of a shared responsibility model, which is being, leveraged across all the CSPs, right? So with that, we'll go to the main topics. Okay. Now, first thing I want to discuss about is why do we require security in cloud, right? See, cloud is one of the most, used technology, widely used technology across the globe, and it is the fastest growing technology, right? Although we have now AI, the buzzword across the world, but still, cloud is something would always remain, and that's the underlining also, right? Infrastructure. So, like every other product you see, right? It is the data will be there in the cloud itself. The product element, everything is happening in the cloud. Now, like we don't want that data to fall on wrong hands, right? So, in order to ensure that, a security needs to be enabled. So, we do have these legal, regulatory, the laws and everything in place, but we need to ensure that it is being enforced and drill down into fine-grained security controls, right? Now, for that, the security revolves around the core principle, right? This the triad, right? The CIA triad, right? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now, what do you mean by confidentiality, right? Your data needs to be accessed only by the authorized users, right? You don't want unauthorized users to access it. That is confidentiality. Now, integrity means you don't want your data to be tampered or somebody coming and destroying it, right? So integrity of the data. Now you have the availability of the data. Like your data needs to be available to the authorized person whenever they want to see it, right? For which you need, like, that's why we call it as, okay, we need the backup, you need to have the redundancy, everything enabled, right? So it all revolves around the CI principle. Now, like, be it a single CSP or if it is a hybrid model. When I say hybrid model, right, you have the on-prem something and you have something on the cloud, and then you're connecting it. That becomes a hybrid, right? Or multi-cloud environment, you have something, let's say, in Azure and something in AWS interconnecting. The application works in that environment. That is a multi-cloud environment. Yeah, there are different challenges, right? These are very high-level challenges I've put in. That is a reason why we need security, right? Like, for example, decentralized administration, right? When you are using a cloud service provider for your application, which is getting integrated onto your on-prem, right? There will be a lot of identity related, concerns. Not like concerns, I would say a lot of type of access accounts and everything would be there. Now, how do you manage them, right? If you have some security being enabled onto your on-prem, that might not really work for the cloud. There will be a difference in how to enable it on the cloud, right? Then the compliance management. Compliance management, as in, like, the cloud will have their own compliance management and the on-prem will be different, right? So you need to bridge it, right? Bridging it and applying uniform security controls across, through the APIs and everything becomes really relevant. Now, the threat detection, timely threat detection and response is a very, very important topic, or like one of the main security pillar, I would say, within the cyber, right? So it becomes really important and a little bit more complex when it comes to managing a hybrid or a multi-cloud environment, right? Network connections needs to be enabled. You will have, separate data which is being created within the cloud itself. How do you, which the CSPs only will have visibility to that, right? And like whether how the data is being secured and everything, you don't have that visibility, right? So all these are the different challenges which we come across. So these are the couple of questions which generally people have it in mind when you're dealing with such kind of scenarios, right? Like, am I compliant? Are my host and container secure? My VM secure, right? Is my application layer data secure, right? So all these questions, like, arise, and that led to the development on so many security tools, capabilities, which is right now available in the market. So with that, we'll move on to the next one, which is cloud security solution cornerstones. This is just a reference slide I've kept in. So basically, the idea is that within the cloud itself, right, you have different sections or components, right? You have the workplace component. You need to manage the SaaS, like third-party vendors, everything. You need to make sure you're securing your DevOps, the pipelines, CI/CD, CD pipelines, uh, with respect to the data sovereignty. What are the different high-level security services which are available, right? These are not specific service names I've given. It's basically, I would call it as like security domains, which will fall or which can be tagged to these kind of components. Okay, and I've just kept like an overview about the very the most commonly used technologies, right? It's just very few I have kept it, but there are more. So just for your awareness that these are the different security tools or the vendors which are providing security services also as part of their main suite. So yeah, so out of this, yes, definitely we will be covering most of the areas in the coming slides. So we'll look into it. Yeah. And yeah, with that, we'll move on to the next session, which is the cloud security posture management. Now, before going on to the cloud security posture management, there is something called CNAP. CNAP means the Cloud Native Application Protection Platform. Okay, you can call it as an umbrella that provides a comprehensive cybersecurity protection coverage covering the entire cloud, right? Be it the infrastructure or be it the workloads. Now, what is cloud security posture management? Now, the main intention of having the cloud security posture management is to ensure security posture and compliance of the cloud environment, infrastructure especially. So when I say infrastructure means it's covering the entire, the networking, everything will come into picture, not the individual workloads, right? So you can consider it as like, so there is a simple analogy when I was actually searching in the Google, it gave like you have a house. So the first defense will be your main door and the windows, right? So CSPM can be considered as a main door or the window for your cloud. Okay, so it is giving you, it is ensuring that security, compliance, and everything, and also act as a protection. It's giving you a proactive, security rather than reactive security, right? So so when I say protection, like it will also detect the misconfigurations within the cloud in the infra. Once they detect the misconfiguration, it will also provide you remediation to fix those misconfiguration, right? So when it says remediation, it's not just a liner, it is giving you step-by-step remediation process to be followed. Okay. So in cyber, we say that we should always approach with shift from left. That means when you develop, see, traditionally what people used to think is that they develop one product or an application, and after that they'll think about the security, right? That's not the ideal way. That's not going to work, right? Shift from left means the moment you start building an application or a product, you integrate security onto it. You start, adding the data security controls or the access related controls or the network related controls, right? So it becomes easy for you to kind of track it down. Where is the flaw happening? Where is the vulnerability happening, right? So, so with that, like, the CSPM has different pillars, which you can see here on a high level, right? Every CSPM solution will have their own terminologies being used, but in general, these are the different security, pillars they have it. The first one being the DevSecOps, right? Now, DevSecOps means it's basically securing your DevOps lifecycle, right? The CI/CD pipeline, continuous integration, continuous deployment, continuous testing, right? Continuous monitoring, right? That's when the log monitoring, everything come into picture, API security, all these things. Now, earlier, when we're using the cloud, right, it was all manual. You'll have to go to let's say you log into an Azure portal, right? You'll have to manually go and create a virtual machine or create a storage account, right? Containers and everything. Right now, we are moving, or I would say it is more matured, and now we are moving on to a cloud automation era. We've already moved, I would say. Now we are no longer going with that manual go click, 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 like that. Now, there is something called as infrastructure as a code and all, which is basically cloud automations, right? Something called Terraform codes, cloud formation templates, like that. You have many scripting mechanism that will help you to easily set up an infrastructure. Earlier it used to take hours to kind of deploy multiple, services within a cloud. Now it is a matter of minutes or seconds, right? So so we call it as these IAC templates. So we need to so the cloud security posture management suite will help in securing those codes also. When I say securing the codes, it will ensure that when you're deploying an infrastructure, are the security controls being embedded onto that IACs, right? Like you're not just simply deploying in a VM, but how do you securely deploy a VM? Like, for example, are you ensuring that encryption is enabled? Like, or, the public access is restricted, right? Whether the tagging is being enabled. So all these things are being integrated onto this code itself, right? So that is the DevSecOps. You have the cloud threat protection, right? In the CSPM, you can come up with different policies, right? That will, the policies are meant to be a, I would say, a detective mechanism, right? If somebody tries to deploy a misconfigured kind of a service, right, the policy will detect it. With respect to that particular configuration, if there is a policy, it will detect it and it will stop deployment of that particular service, right? So all you can build the CSPM generally comes with inbuilt policies altogether based on the security baselines from various I would say the industrial best practices, right? You can take it from the CIS benchmark or the CCA metrics and all. There are so many security standards which are widely available in the market, and they've taken the best security controls, and the CSPM runs in that. So according to those inbuilt policy, so much of misconfiguration can be detected and it can be remediated also. It will implement the guardrails and everything, right? Then you have the asset discovery and identification, right? There are different, cloud services which is being leveraged. It will help you in uh, detecting what is the risk level of leveraging these cloud services, right? Whether they are being properly configured. If some risk is there, it will check for the risk. It will check for what is the rating of the risk. Accordingly, what is the remediation you have to take it. Everything is being shown by the CSPM, right? And automatic remediation capability is also there. Matter of some simple scripting, few clicks, yes, automatic remediation also happens, right? For multiple services at the same time, right? Then cloud governance compliance, like regulatory compliance and everything. The CSPM comes with all this inbuilt capabilities. And then you have the cloud data protection according to the data privacy regulations. You have the GDPR, you have the CIPRA, right? Then the data loss protection. And one of the most attracted component right now with the CSPM solution is the AISPM. Not every other CSPM tools will have it. I can say like there is a tool called WIS, which is being commonly used, and like we have. Uh, I work in EY, so we have a lot of clients which are kind of leveraging this kind of tools. And it comes with a very good capability of security posture management for AI related application, right? So that is giving that especially AI supply chain security is a very um, critical topic wherein people are very much concerned when in terms of using several AI vendors. How do we ensure that our data is secured in their environment because we are using their AI tools, right? So all this detection and anomaly detection mechanism is being provided by the AISPM part of the CSPM tools, right? So CSPM is a very widely used topic within the cloud security. Not even cloud security, when somebody, we have the departments wherein people are building application in the cloud. There also the CSPM is a very, very important topic for them, right? So that is the high level overview of CSPM. And this is how the integration or the typical component of a CSPM will look like. So basically, you have your cloud subscription or the tenant, you integrate it with the CSPM tool, right? And then all the policies and everything will get triggered, right? Accordingly, it will check for the continuous, real time, continuous monitoring of the misconfiguration, any threats, real time detection of the threats, everything is being um, captured in the CSPM tool, and accordingly, people can take decision whether we can remediate it, automatically remediate it, or you want to manually interfere it and remediate for only few. Sometimes you will have the legacy systems and everything, right? So you need to take a decision on that. So all these things, it gives you the flexibility to do all these things, right? and now with AI capabilities also, it can give you in-depth analysis, very detailed analysis also it is giving us, right? So that is more about the CSPM tool. Now, under the CNAP, we have another pillar, which is called the Cloud Workload Protection Platform. What now? The name, as the name suggests, right? It is taking care of the security in workload. Remember, I gave you a simple example, right? Like CSPM is basically the door or the windows of a typical house. Now, the workload protection means it's the security of the individuals within that house or the different, you know, objects or things which is present in the house, right? So that is called the workloads, right? Now, so now when it comes to CWPP, right? Mainly it takes care of like the workloads like the virtual machines, containers, serverless, and everything. Now, what does it really take care of? The core features of it. It gives you the visibility of the different activities being done by the various workloads, right? Real-time monitoring. It gives the capability of scanning through those workloads to understand any misconfigurations or vulnerability, right? During the deployment or post-deployment. Then threat detection, right? It's more of a reactive way of approaching it. It's not a protective, like proactive way of approach. Whenever some threat is detected, yeah, that's why that's when the analysis and everything happens, and remediation as such won't work over there. That you'll have to manually do it. But yeah, reactive approach is what has been taken care by a typical cloud workload protection platform. It gives you the runtime protection, right? Ideas, intrusion detection system mechanisms, and all micro segmentation, right? Isolate the networks based on identity based controls, and this will limit the lateral movement of the threads, right? So micro segmentations and the feature, and of course on a high level note, regulatory standards compliance to that also it will check. So these are different features given by the cloud workload protection platform. Now, the next one, this is a really important topic, the SSPM. Now, why I'm saying this is because even currently uh, SSPM in our projects and everything also SSPM is on high demand, especially when it comes to managing the AI based SaaS vendors and all. Every other customers are very much eager to understand how they can manage these AI based SaaS solutions and all, right? So there are a couple of products which are coming into the market which provides that kind of capability, right? So AI based products are also coming in which give in-depth analysis and all. So when you are connecting your application, let's say you have an application in AWS and you are connecting to a SaaS based uh, product, right? Your data is being processed by the SaaS. AI based products are also coming in which give in-depth analysis and all. So when you are connecting your application, let's say you have an application in AWS and you are connecting to a SaaS based product, right? Your data is being processed by the SaaS based project. Now, we want to know whether your data is secured over there or not, right? Nobody is getting access, um, unauthorized access to that, right? Nobody is tampering your data, right? It is completely available whenever you want to have it, the CIA thing. All these things needs to be managed very well because see, if you take most of the breaches that has happened over the years, especially in the recent years, everything is happening via the vendor based products. It's not like the main company itself is actually creating the cause for the data breach. Rather, they have offloaded or they are leveraging the vendors, and through the vendors only these breaches are happening. So that's why the SSPM topic become more important for every other cloud based services which we provide to the client also. So what does an SSPM give us, right? Now, typically, how the SSPM, kind of works is that, mm, like if a customer kind of onboards tools like Record.ai or Adaptive Shield, right? Now they are using some vendor named as like vendor SaaS vendor. Now the idea is that they have to onboard that SaaS vendor onto the Record.ai or the Adaptive Shield, integrate it so that they will get the visibility of all the what is the current risk stage of all these vendors, identify for any risk and evaluate risk by comparing against best standards, automated flows and remediation to fix those issues, right? That is a very important capability which it is providing. Alerting, right? Any misconfiguration, if it is happening with that SaaS vendor, the SSPM will alert it. So all these things will help in the real time fixing of the issues, right? You don't want that issue, high critical issue, to be lying there for days and somebody misuse it and taking away your data, which eventually result in, financial or reputational risk to the company, right? So that's why the SSPM becomes really, really important. You might have heard about some of the breaches that might have happened in the Salesforce and all. It's all because of that, improper management of the SaaS providers, right? So it is actually helping you to simplify the compliance management, prevent cloud misconfiguration, and detect excessive permissions. Now, the access control is another domain within the cyber which people insist like anything, right? They emphasize uh, a lot on the access control because that is your first, after the network, that even in the network layer also, the authentication authorization becomes your first gate, right? So that's how the SSPM uh, is really important. So under the CNAP, we have covered three pillars. There is one more pillar, which is the cloud entitlement infrastructure management of permission, which I've not added here. But these are the three things which I feel is really important when it comes to protection of the cloud. So the typical the tools which we see in the market is like Prisma is there. You have the Wiz is there. Now there are other tools also which are coming up with great package, but I think Wiz and Prisma are the widely used tools, right? Then you have the specific CSP related tools also. For example, Microsoft. They provide the Microsoft Defender. Right? That is another uh, CSPM capability which is provided by the Microsoft itself. So these are being widely used by the various customers. Although, like, say, security comes up is an added layer, right? And there is a lot of cost going into it. But if you look at the long term investment, right, and if you look at the ROI, if you are putting some amount, even though you are putting some initial investment onto it,
Travel from
in the,
computer to
in the longer
Madam.
run, it's going to help you.
Ma'am, why it's not possible? After 20, it's not possible. Yeah, because I was waiting for your call, but I did not get it from your institute. Actually, so ma'am, we was engaged with the final year practicals and with some other important tasks. That's why I was not able to contact. So today we got the time. So we are now contacting everyone. It's on tomorrow, no, not tomorrow, yeah. From Monday, I'm like getting
Miss
winter
Rupali
break from
Gupta.
my institute. So I'm on winter break. So like Saturday or Sunday is my holiday. So that's where I travel from
Sorry,
like,
Miss Anshu.
No,
Grenada
no
to
worries.
Calcutta.
No.
Right now I'm in
Admin,
Calcutta,
could
and
you
it will
please
continue
mute
for
all and
till 19.
let us ask Anshu
After
to
that
unmute
only I can
herself
arrange
and
it.
continue the
Ma'am, I
session?
will let you know.
Rupali ma'am,
Otherwise, it
please
is very
mute your
difficult.
mic.
So you have to reject. Otherwise.
Miss
Because
Rupali,
after
can you go
20th,
on
it's
mute?
not possible for me. After 19, it can be because on 19, I think there's a Sunday, and on 20th, there will be Monday. So I can contact on that day, but before that, because I'm not in that city, so I cannot do that. No, that's fine, but for me, it's not
Admin,
possible.
Admin, could you please mute
Actually,
all?
and I did not get any number on any of your websites. Unable to contact you from my hand. But I was waiting that if I get the call, I'll just arrange my leave.
Still, I will just check if I can do anything for 20th, but I'm sure ki I won't be able to arrange for 20th. But still, I will try.
Okay, do let me know after the 19 on 20 I can have like I can reach to
19th is, I think, Monday.
no 19th is
Yes, ma'am, 19th is Monday. I have just opened the calendar. It's 19th is Monday and 20th is Tuesday.
okay, wait, check.
Miss Rupali,
The 19th is Monday.
Miss Rupali, Miss Rupali Gupta.
Yeah, 19th is Monday.
Hello, Miss Rupali Gupta.
Okay. Let me know if it can be possible on
And I
19
think
or 20.
no,
Okay, ma'am. I will
she's,
let.
Okay. Thank you.
do we have our admins?
Rupali ma'am, hello. Ma'am, please mute yourself.
No, they are not there, Miss Sridevi. Dr. Sridevi, could you please ask the admins to mute all?
Ma'am, we are trying to contact them. Please wait, ma'am.
बारिश सर के जो फोटो खींचे गए थे वो आपके मोबाइल से रूपाली मैडम ने खींचे बड़ी लंबी वो बनानी पड़ेगी।
Okay, thank you so much.
Sorry, Miss
I'm
Anju.
sorry, ma'am, for the inconvenience.
No worries, no worries. It happens. Okay, so let me just go back. Okay, all right. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Okay, so like I mentioned, right, we have covered the main pillars within the CNAP, which is the CSPM, the CWPP, and the SSPM. Now, SSPM and CSPM are basically the most important suits, I would say, in terms of ensuring the compliance and also ensuring that you know the SaaS vendors security on the SaaS vendors are being taken care on a timely basis, right? Okay, with that we'll move on to the next topic, which is the CASB. Now, CASB in simple layman language, how do we explain? Okay, so let's say you are going to an maybe an amusement park or something, right? And you have seen security personnel over there, right? When you are entering to the amusement park, right? Now they will check for first thing your if you have the tickets, right? So basically that you can call it as an authentication, right? Now second thing, they will check what all things you're carrying inside and what all things you're carrying outside, right? You have the bag and all, and what you go with inside the amusement park, and then what you go out with of the amusement park. That is basically it is checking for the data loss prevention, right? Now they will also check if there are any suspicious people entering, right? That is threat analysis, right? And then finally they will ensure that everyone who is entering the amusement park is actually following the rules, right? You have the do's and the don'ts and everything. So they are acting like an enforcement points, right? So CASB can be explained in that way, right? They are the cloud-based security policy enforcement points. So that will be placed between the cloud service consumer and the providers. Now, how does a typical CASB work? Now, CASB can be, kind of integrated in four main ways. One way is like API control. Now, when I say API control, integrate directly with the CSP's APIs. So what does that benefit, right? It gains visibility onto data present in the cloud and allows security scans and policy enforcement on data, especially at rest and all, right? So that is API control. Then you have the reverse proxy, which means when a user connects to the cloud application, the first traffic is getting routed through the CASB, and it checks for the access, prevents for any kind of threats. Then another way, forward proxy, right? And then forward proxy means like in your, the end user devices itself, there is an agent being installed that will keep a track of it, right? What is the traffic going in and out? Then you have the log collection. When I say log collection, it is basically analyze the traffic logs from existing firewalls and servers. And the secure web gateways to identify which cloud services are being used. Basically, to track the shadow IT, right? I hope you are aware about shadow IT. Shadow IT means like there are certain services which you are not supposed to use, right? Which are not being authorized to be used, right? And if you're using some unauthorized kind of a services, that can lead to a data leakage, right? Unauthorized access to the data leakage, everything. So all these things are being kind of restricted and being captured by a CASB. Now, what are the different or the multiple types of security policy enforcement over here? That is what which I have listed down here. The authentication, single sign-on or MFA whenever required authorization, encryption, tokenization, malware detection, prevention. So it's coming with a complete suit, like a proper technical or sorry, the security checks which is happening. And as I said, right, the CASB and all comes into picture when you are dealing with especially the SaaS applications or cloud, and also especially when you're dealing with third-party SaaS applications and all, right? So that's where the CASB comes into picture. Now, these are the different services which it is giving, right? So data security, I think we have already covered in the previous slide, encryption, tokenization and all. Threat protection, like it has that AI specific capability to do the user behavioral analytics, activity monitoring, block unsanctioned cloud apps. That would ideally fall into the shadow IT also, and visibility onto that shadow IT ones, risk visibility, and of course the compliance, right? Regulatory, legal compliance, and everything that also will come into the picture. So CASB is definitely a main important thing when it comes to actually securing of the cloud, secure usage of the cloud. With that, we are moving to the next topic, which is the zero trust. Now, zero trust for cloud security. Zero trust concept is basically, I would like to call it as a philosophical concept, right? So it says that you never trust, always verify. You are assuming a breach at every point of time. That's what is called zero trust. Like it's like how do you say it? Like there is traditional security which gives you the network security, everything, but zero trust will help you to some extent limit the 0-day attacks and all. Now, what is 0-day attack? What is 0-day vulnerability? Like we have something like you might have heard about something like OWASP's top 10 top vulnerabilities and all, right? 2025 and all. So basically, there are known threats, known vulnerabilities, right? And there are fixes also, which you can see from the web's cheat sheets and everything, right? So somebody identify when we are performing a penetration testing onto an application, right? For example, like you have a banking application and somebody comes in and they've been asked to do the penetration testing on the application. Now, what is penetration testing? It means you're getting the access to the network and you are trying out with possible attacks. It's an ethical way of doing attacking. That's what we call it as pen testing. Okay, you're trying to attack the various things and seeing how to what extent your application is vulnerable, right? If there is any flaw to the application, right? It checks for whether like if it's a very critical application, they can try with the cross-site scripting. There are different attack mechanisms. They try it, and they check for what are the possible vulnerabilities, and those are known vulnerabilities, right? And there are fixes to it. So you can, we provide the remediation and the fixing steps and everything. They will fix those vulnerabilities, and it becomes more secure, right? Now, zero trust means it's a very ingrained, or I would say fine grained kind of security being enabled for every other transactions. For every time you log in, whatever transactions you are doing it, right? Whenever you are accessing a separate application or anything, there is a verification being done. So that is why I've given these 4 pointers. Role-based access is what we typically follow, which is called as role-based access controls. Right? You have a specific role. If a person is assigned with that role capability, he can perform so and so task, and he can do that work. Now, it's not just role-based, attribute-based also, context-based also, depending upon the the load it is getting onto the application, how much load is coming to the application. All these things are being verified, and then only the person can access it, right? Micro segmentation, right? The workloads are segregated, sorry, the networks are segregated, isolated, and given very fine grained access and all, right? Strong visibility across cloud assets, APIs, data flows, and the VPN connection, right? Like if you want to connect to your, for example, in the college, right, you have a VPN connection to be enabled to access certain internal application. So it's like a network, verification kind of a connection. Okay, it's like a tunneling which is being enabled. Now, zero trust means that, so when you connect to that tunnel, you will be able to access every other application within your department, everything, right? Now, what zero trust says that, no, if you zero trust specific VPN means that you can only access a single application at a single point of time, and that too, it will have only just in time access kind of a thing, right? Over a period of time, you will have access, you do whatever thing, you come back. Beyond that timeline, you will not be able to do it. That is called just in time. So much of ingrained security are enabled. Now, when does a zero trust is really required? Do we really required for an application which is giving you a simple public data? No, right? Only for the application which are handling really sensitive data, like confidential, highly confidential data, like the banking, right? The financial transactions, everything. So that's where the zero trust kind of comes in. Now, when you log into any of the banking application, right, you might have seen like every action you do in the banking app, like let's say HDFC, because I'm familiar with that, so I'm saying, everything, whatever, if I want to open an FD or an RD, every time it is asking for some kind of a confirmation, right? So it's actually enabling that zero trust kind of a feature over there, which is relevant because you never know when somebody is actually monitoring your activity and want to hack it and take your data, right? So for those highly critical applications or scenarios, zero trust becomes really, really important, and there are so many tools available in the market. Zscaler, CrowdStrike is coming with that. Palo Altos are like huge product based companies, right? They are coming up with so much of the ZT related services, and especially the banking clients, FSO clients are really opting it. To some extent, the healthcare clients are also opting it, but I think majorly the financial sector people are dealing with it, or making use of the zero trust capabilities. So that is another thing which has boomed in over the past few years, and zero trust on cloud security has coming, and now we have the zero trust on the AI security also coming in, which is being widely used as well. So, see, definitely zero trust has its own kind of drawbacks. I'm not denying that, because if you see that, you will get frustrated every time you log into an application, right? And if you want, ideally in a VPN, what you used to do, you it is giving you a broader network access. You can go to multiple things without having to have that authentication authorization enabled, right? But with zero trust, it needs to be done. So it's actually time consuming, I would say. If you want to do some simple job and you need to verify it all over again and again, time consuming. It is complex. And in terms of the investment also, it's huge. But if you are investing on a like a financial related application or so, it's worth it when you look at the long term plan, right? Because when you think of the ROI and all, it's definitely worth it. Although you might see that, okay, when during the initial investment, oh, such a big cost, how will I manage it? But I would say still zero trust is really, really relevant for such kind of application. Scalability also, sometimes you might feel um, you might come across challenges in terms of the scalability. But again, I'm emphasizing on the fact that considering the long term investment for a financial one, ROI and all, yes, this will be a good option. Okay, so that is with respect to zero trust. And the final topic is cloud data security. Now, cloud data security, see, at the end of the day, we have all these technologies. It's all to kind of store our data or secure our data. So the underlying principle is, or the underlying component is definitely the data, right? Now, if let's talk about data sovereignty, right? What is data sovereignty? Every other country will have their own regulations or rules as to how the data needs to be managed, right? Like, for example, in the European region, GDPR, which is the most common one, like they don't want their data to be going outside their region, right? Data isolation needs to be there, data residency, they give a lot of importance to. In Australia, will have their ARPA, right? They have their own regulations, right? They want their data to be there, and they have their own rules and everything, right? And different type of data is also there also, right? Critical data, confidential data, internal data, then public data and all. Depending on the type of data, be it public, internal, critical and all, data encryption can be enabled or the protection can be enabled. If it's just a public data or something and nobody's going to gain anything out of it or exploit somebody, you can always go with the default encryption mechanism enabled in the cloud, right? Then you have something called wherein the encryption keys, the policies, the rotation, lifecycle management, everything is taken care by the cloud provider. Then you have the cloud KMS, which means they create the keys and everything for you, but you do have the authority to kind of, make changes to the policies as to, rotation policies, everything you can change. Then you have the customer KMS, customer managed keys, or I would say there's something called bring your own keys also. Right? You are creating your keys, you are putting in the rules, policies, everything, you are managing it end to end. Now, when all do we use these kind of keys, right? If the data is very much public, default KMS should be enough. If it is something internal, yes, cloud KMS. But like I mentioned earlier, if it is highly critical information, like the finance data and all, that's when we would definitely suggest the customers to go with the customer managed keys or the bring your own keys, because they are highly confidential data, right? So this is how the encryption mechanism is being enabled in the cloud. So this is how the security also. So if you want to have, let's say, an internal data also to have it in the customer managed way also, you can have it. Or only for the highly critical data, if you want to have the customer
நாங்க
managed
வாங்குறது
case.
பார்த்துட்டு என்ன பேங்க்ல இங்கிலீஷ் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் நினைக்கிறேன்
அந்த மேம் எல்லாம் கேட்டுட்டு இருந்தாங்க.
Pushpalata ma'am, can you please mute your mic?
நாங்க தான்
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, like if you want the complete end-to-end protection, always go with the key management, right? Like the customer managed key, right? If you want less protection or something, you can always opt for the normal cloud provided encryption mechanism also, right? So most of our insurance clients, or be it anything falling under FSO and healthcare, we would definitely push for them to go with the um, bring your own key kind of a management, customer managed keys, because that will ensure that the data is secured, right? That's what we generally suggest. But these are the different, ways you can secure it. So that's what I wanted to just give an idea about how it really works. So I think that's all. These are the different topics I really want to cover for today. And also, like, I wanted to kind of talk about, I don't have that specific slide for the same, but uh, like there are several industrial best security standards available in the market, right? You can just Google the Cloud Security Alliance or the Cloud Control Metrics or the CIS benchmarks. You can easily download those things. Like for every other type of services within the cloud, they have defined the best security practices you can leverage off, right? That is something I would really suggest everyone to kind of go through it, because one or the other way, when you're building any application or a project or a product for any scenarios, you can definitely leverage these things. And always you need to go with a shift from left mentality, like I explained in the initial slides, right? You should not develop an application and after that think about security. Rather, security needs to be ingrained right from the starting phase of design. That's what we call, right? So that is another way we have to think about. And uh, see, if mostly what I've seen is the main security domains you need to consider when you think about securing cloud is first network security, like you are creating the overall network and how you are selecting the firewall policies and everything, rules and everything. That is one security. Then you have the access control, to whom all you're giving access to. How are you giving a least privilege access? Are the access being provided based on the action, or the work needs to be done, right? Then you have the data security. Data means you are playing with the data now. How, in what all stages, who will have access to the data, who can modify the data, all this tracking needs to be enabled, right? So access control is another important domain. Then finally, I would say, yeah, vulnerability management, everything will come into picture. Logging, monitoring, another important thing. Continuous monitoring of whatever actions being done in an application by any user, all the log activities needs to be tracked. So you have different tools available, right? SIM tool, security incident event monitoring tools are available, right? Incident and event monitoring tools like the Splunk and all, so many tools are available in the market. So so these are the main domains which I feel is really, really important when it comes to cloud security, also for the AI security, right? Since I'm focusing on AI security over the past 2 years, what I've seen with respect to the challenges and everything is that if we are taking care of these main domains, I think that itself will solve a lot of problems, right? So I think that's all I wanted to kind of cover today. I know it is post lunch and so much of things. Uh, you might have felt sleepy, but I do have restriction in terms of showing the labs and everything. That's why I couldn't show you anything. But I hope it was helpful for at least some of you. With that, yeah, open for any questions.
Dear participants, if you have any queries, you can post it in the chat box so we can unmute and ask directly to ma'am. I hope there is no more query.
No,
Okay,
no,
ma'am. Yeah, yeah.
Miss Anshu.
Yes, ma'am.
See, no, I'm just asking the first timer who's
Mhm.
taking a subscription to a cloud.
Okay.
What are the things that we have to look into with respect to security terms while taking the subscription?
Hmm. While clicking the subscription, of course, I mean, there is no much things to be taking care. So you will be selecting the, the regions and everything, right? So there is no specific, like, to what all people you are giving access to what level, what are the different services you are accessing to, and all will come into picture. But again, once you get the subscription only, you will have access to that. But let's say, for example, in Azure, you have the Microsoft Intra, right? Based on the access, you can enable the access level according to whomsoever you want to add them to the subscription. You need to define the access level for the same, right? And who all need to have access to specific services within the cloud also. I think you can restrict that access also. So, but these all things comes once you log into the subscription and once you get into the subscription. But with respect to the initial subscription details, it will be very preliminary. So not much to be taken care of.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Because as you rightly said, no, when we look into cloud, we'll look into the infrastructure and the services. What are the services that they provide? But the security, as you said, it comes to our mind at the last only. So we put the security at a first priority. Is there anything that should be taken care while subscribing to cloud? That is what I have.
Okay. No, that is not really required. Whenever you are accessing specific services, and let's say you are spinning up a virtual machine, right? Now, what are the different security controls you want to enable? For example, you don't want to enable a public access, right? Restrict the access, restrict the IP level access, right? Which all IPs you want them to kind of access your VM, you can enable it. And encryption, right? Mostly all the cloud providers by default they're giving the encryption level TLS 1.2 for sure in transit, and encryption also AEC 256. That will be enabled by default, but you can check that, right? Then you can enable the anti malware protection also. That you can definitely enable it, right? And tagging is another important thing I would say to enable, because not just from the security perspective. Let's say you're building an application and you have different services being leveraged from a cloud for building an application. In order to identify that these are the specific services tagged to this application, the tagging will help you. So security proper identification it will enable, right? So these are something we would definitely take care of when you are creating any services also in cloud.
Thank you, Anshu. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the valuable and informative session. It was indeed an honor to have you with us, ma'am. We apologize for any inconvenience caused due to technical issues. Thank you so much, ma'am.
No worries. Thank you so much. And thank you. I know I couldn't come up with any lab when you show a lab or a practical session, that's when people will get that real interest. But I guess to know the basic understanding, I wouldn't call it as basic, rather, the different security suits available in the market will also help you a lot, right? Because right now, see, in our organization, we have secure department and also the proper digital department wherein the cloud-based application are getting developed. Now, both will have to work together and both should know how something is being developed and how we need to secure it also. So for that, the CSPM tools or the CNAP, everything, they need to be well across. And especially I'll be sharing the slide with you. There are different tool names I've given over there that will also give you a lot of visibility onto the security services provided by those major product dealers. So it will be a good read. For example, you can read about this tool or a CrowdStrike tool, Palo Alto tools, and all. These are really major, product players in the globe, and people should be aware about these tools. That will really help.
So
Okay.
much, Ms. Anju. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Dear participants, we'll be continuing our next session at 3:30 p.m. Let's take a break till then. Thank you.
Thank you, Anshu. And I'll remember Dr. Meenakshi. No, she only approached you. And I still remember your session that you handled in the International Leadership Summit at Calicut. It is what so inspiring, and I refer to that. I approached Dr. Meenakshi to get your availability for handling this session. And thank you, both of you. Thank you.
The participants will start our next session at 3:30 p.m. Thank you.